Our place of gathering is a solemn and very serious space, dedicated to the memories of those who have perished from man's inhumanity to man. This memorial was raised to serve as a testament condemning all atrocities through history, beginning with the Armenian Genocide of 1915 to the Jewish Holocaust, through to Bosnia and Bangladesh, Guatemala, Rwanda, Cambodia, and Darfur. But let us not be indifferent and forget that in 2015, just a month before the 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, the United Nations Commission of Inquiry on Syria officially declared in its report that ISIS is committing genocide against the Yazidis population. And so, let us take a moment to reflect on history, to a time where a nationalistic and religious ideology waged an unannounced war against a peaceful civilian population. A moment in time where people left their homes, crossed borders, and fled to a nearby country. A tragedy where women were kidnapped and children absconded, and their fathers and brothers were eradicated by means generally deemed by the international community to constitute war crime. And of course, a calamity where cathedrals were destroyed and churches were burned and cemeteries desecrated and culture and heritage erased and museums built in honor of that extermination. This depiction is very familiar to many of us. We have heard and studied these events throughout our lives. Stories passed down from eyewitnesses to their children, to their grandchildren, to their great-grandchildren. However, the events I mention are not the events of the Armenian Genocide. These are the events of the recent Artsakh-Armenia war with Azerbaijan. No, this is not the story of how people like my great-grandparents escaped the Adana massacres in Turkey and crossed over into Syria where my grandfather was born. It is the event where the civilians of Artsakh were evacuated into the Republic of Armenia to avoid being bombed and burned by a storm of chemical weapons unleashed through the sky. Just as the death toll of the Armenian Genocide is estimated between 1.5 and 3 million, the number of heroes killed in the Artsakh war is not finalized because Azerbaijan will not reveal how many prisoners of war it's holding or where the mass graves are of the volunteer soldiers they killed with their contracted ISIS mercenaries. No, this is not the story of how modern-day Turkey illegally confiscated real estate property owned by the Armenians they slaughtered. This is the story of the civilians of Artsakh burning their houses before they fled, so that the war predators will be met with smoke and ashes rather than homes ready for the taking. No, the cathedrals and the churches I mentioned are not the ones that were destroyed in ancient Western Armenia presently occupied by Turkey. They are the Armenian Christian churches in Artsakh that are up to over 100 years older than the Republic of Azerbaijan. No, these are not the attacks that occurred between the Ottoman Empire's cholera and influenza pandemics of 1912 and 1918. These are Azerbaijan's attacks carried out deliberately in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020. And the woman who was kidnapped, she was finally freed only several torturous months later. And as Maral Najarian stated once she was released, even in the darkest place, we must never lose hope. And with this hope in our hearts and on this solemn occasion, befitting of the principles and values for which this monument stands, it is our moral obligation to pay our humble tribute to the Armenian heroes who were martyred defending the right to their ethnic and cultural identities. Let us all pause together for a moment of silent prayer. Thank you.